What's up, DJ fan? Welcome to another video on the channel. Welcome to another episode of Start to Spin. My name is Diego, also known as DJ Pretty Boy, alongside my boy Shay, also known as DJ Shay. And together we started this journey to talk about DJ related content, such as tips and tricks, our experiences, our knowledge, and just share it with you guys. So whether you are a seasoned DJ or a new DJ just getting started, this is the spot to be. And with that being said, let's go ahead and roll this intro. All right, guys, welcome to another episode. Today I am honored to have Jimmy from J&D Productions. He's one of the followers here in the channel, and he's very knowledgeable, has a lot of information that he can share with us, and I'm just very happy. Thank you very much for your time, Jimmy, and hopefully you enjoy it too.
Yeah, man, absolutely. It's going to be a great time, man. I love y'all's channel. Enjoy watching you guys. I try to comment as much as I can. So yeah, I'm excited to be here. I appreciate you having me.
No problem. So go ahead and let everybody know, what you do, how anything that you want to let us know.
Yeah, so company is J&D Productions. We've been in business since about 2005. We started up in Tennessee. We started growing our business, me and my son did. When I retired from Lowe's, we started growing the business and trying to build it as big as we could. And we were talking earlier about, like, when you first start out, it's, a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there. And that's how we started out. So we grew the business, kept growing the business. And then we had some opportunities where we were able to relocate back to Jacksonville, Florida. And we're currently here and still killing it, man. We do lighting, we do sound, we do photo booth. I mean, we do pretty much everything that encompasses the DJ part of the business. And then one of the things that kind of sets us apart is we try to work with multiple vendors. We have a lot of vendor groups that we're a part of for networking and stuff. And, just trying to be out there for anybody that needs our help, because, with all the years we've been doing it, and I have another gentleman that works with me that's been in it for years as well. So between our experience, it's easy for us to reach out to other people and help them out. Like you and I were talking, that there's so much opportunity that I'm not worried about somebody taking my business. I just want our customers to have a good time when we do an event. So, so we love DJing, we love doing lighting, we love doing everything. We love the customers and the whole 9 yards, man. It's awesome.
When did you decided to become like a kind of like a multi-up, basically, because you got people working for you now? Like, when you made that transition, what made you decide that?
To be honest with you, one of the things that made me decided is I was tired of trying to do it with just two of us. We grew to three people pretty quickly, when we started the business. Fortunately, my son was one of them, so he got paid, and we hired one of his friends to help us, load up, tear out, and stuff like that. For anybody that's doing it, it takes a minute to set up at events when you first start, because you really don't know kind of what goes where and what you're trying to do and how it sounds when you set it up. So
Yeah.
having that extra help is huge. And one of my biggest beliefs in my business, in the structure of what I do, is if I'm going to invest anything in the business, it needs to make me better or it needs to make me go faster. So if it takes me an hour and a half to set up and I can spend a little bit of money in my investment to make that setup shorter, then I'm going to do that. Because to me, time is money. And, you're already on your feet all day at a wedding, regardless of how long it takes you to set up. So the shorter you can make that setup and tear down time is much better. So I think that's when we started deciding that we needed to kind of branch out and start hiring people. So when we do bigger events where we do the full club package and we're doing all the trussing and all that stuff, I have 5 or 6 people that'll come on board and help us out. So, but yeah, it's typically 2 or at least 3 of us at every event.
And like DJ wise, how many DJs do you have working with you besides like you and your son? Your son also DJs?
He does not. No, he runs the photo booth when we're actually at the wedding. But as far as setting up and tearing down, and then I do have another DJ. And one of the great things is that him and I set up both of our turntables. So he's got 2 turntables. He uses the old Techniques actual 12-inch platter turntables, and I have a controller. I have a DJ 1000. So we both set up behind our facade. So, and him and I go back and forth when we're DJing. Like he's been doing it for 30 years. So he's very gifted in hip hop and scratching and doing all the old school stuff. and
Yeah.
I'm more into the using the stems and beat matching and doing some of those crazy things. So, but when you get us both together and we're playing back and forth, it's awesome because we're hitting every part of the music genre all the way across the board. And customers give us so much feedback about that, and they love the idea that it's not just one of us. So I wouldn't trade that part for anything.
That's
It's
definitely
incredible.
something that makes you guys completely different than everybody else. You know, you have two DJs kind of like battling, but for
Yeah.
the people, that's a crazy experience. I'll
What's
be
fun? Well, yeah, what's fun about it is like he might be playing a song, and I'll think of a song that'll go with that. So I will literally start bringing mine in, and he won't even know it. And then when he hears me coming in, he starts fading out, and it's like seamless transition. Like it's still him just playing, and that's the fun part because we try to master that part of it
Mhm.
because we don't want to make it sound like there's two DJs. We want to make
Yeah,
it sound like there is one
more,
DJ. So
of course.
yeah, he's
Do you guys like practice? Well, before maybe not now because you guys so much experience now, but before you guys like practice that, or it was just like
so
let's just do it.
so when I first started working with him, he definitely gave me a better skill set in the DJing world. I was probably more of the jukebox beat matching guy. I wasn't really concerned about it. But being around somebody that's better than you is going to make you better.
Yeah,
So I immediately picked up on the fact that, okay, I'm horrible compared to this guy. I want to be better. So working alongside of him and I getting together, like we did functions where we both set up, and he's like, "Hey man, come into this song," and I'm like, "Okay." And when I'd start doing it, he's like, "All right, let's go back," and he'll say, "Hey, let's try this." And then of course when it hits, you're just like, "Oh."
yeah, like
So yeah, and then so you put that in your pocket, right? And then the next thing you're going to learn, okay, well, let's put that in our pocket. Well, now you're out in a live setting, and you're starting to use all those transitions and all the everything, and it's incredible. It's really incredible.
you know, and like the first thing, like when you first start, right? You don't know how to do anything. You just it's like a Spotify or a jukebox, whatever you want to call it. But
Right?
once you do your first beat match transition,
Yeah,
you don't ever want to go back to just a regular play stop and play. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's
you
right.
always want to do like at the minimum. It's beat matching.
That's right.
And it's crazy. Like when I first learned it, because I was watching YouTube videos day and night. Like I was even I had my wife telling me, "Yo, like, what are you doing? Like, why are you on YouTube all this time?"
Right.
Because you know it was something like a hobby for me. But then she was like, "Why you know why you spend so much time on YouTube? Like, you know, we're here, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "I'm trying to learn. Like, I'm trying to learn how to do this." And once I figure it out, I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "Look what I can do." And then she was like, "Okay, okay." Like I
That's
see you're
right.
progressing. You taking it serious. So like you know, she understands now, but before it was like it was a problem. But you know, like as long as you progress, you learn. But in order to do that, you have to love the craft. You have to love what you do, because if you don't, then you know, like just having a party here and there, it's fine. Like you know, you get by. But if you love it, you want to learn, and you having someone that is you know more experienced, it teaches you.
That's right.
And like you and like I said, I tell Jason all the time, he was blessed to have you there, that you can guide him and help him out, and he can do the same with his the guy that he has now working for him, his nephew, I think it
That's
is,
right.
right?
I
Yeah,
think it's yeah.
you know, like the just the chain, because kids growing and
Right.
just helping out people, like, and that was one thing that it got me to like open up my channels, just like for people to see what I do and learn from what I do. Like maybe I do something wrong, and then they can tell me, and we all learn. You know, at the end of the day, you're learning, and it's just a growing experience. And like you mentioned before, as long as you're learning something new every single event, you're doing it right.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah, that you definitely. I mean, I think if any DJ tells you that, hey, I'm only here to play music, well, you're going to book, the $500 gigs. You're never going to build your business. There's
Yeah.
so many aspects about doing. I mean, let's just talk about weddings. I mean, if you're not trying to build upon every time you go to a wedding, I'm trying to learn something new at every wedding because I want every wedding to be better than the last one.
Right.
How many times have you booked a wedding because you did a good job at this wedding, and then now you booked one because somebody was there? Well, they don't want to see the same thing you did at that wedding. They want to see something different, right?
Exactly. Yes.
So yeah, so you got to continue to be evolving and continue to learning. You know, we had somebody made a comment one time that we were doing icebreaker games and stuff like that to get the crowd motivated. But I'm going to tell you, if you don't do that sometimes, then you're going to lose the crowd. I mean, we're talking about before we open up the dance floor, you're trying to keep the crowd engaged, having them laugh and having them fun, or having them have a good time and have fun. And I mean, there's videos that I mean we could share that. I mean, the laughing and the people coming up and complimenting us after, like, I've never been to a wedding like this. And while we do a good job on the music, it's the whole package. It's the lighting, it's the song selection when you got the dance floor going. It's the icebreaker games that you play during the thing. It's the interacting with the guests and not just standing behind the facade and playing on your phone. It's everything. You got to treat it like it's a puppy. You know, you're going to care for that puppy. You're going to do everything for that puppy to make sure it stays alive. And that's what you got to do with your business. If you show up and think it's that old dog that you're ready to keel over and die, well, that's exactly what your business is going to do. It's going to keel over and die.
It's not going to go that far because you're not putting the work that you need to put into it, you know?
That's right.
So, well, we got Jason in the house.
Jason.
Also, Steve does all the music work during cocktail dinner, intro, and games with Jimmy. Can work the floor and get to know the crowd. So you do the MC part of it too.
I do.
You MC.
I do.
Okay.
I do all the MCing. You know, while Steve is very gifted in the DJ part, he is not as comfortable doing the microphone part. So
okay.
I love doing the microphone part. I'm actually going to go do a wedding with Jason, and he told me that I could do the microphone part, which I'm excited about. So yeah, I'm excited to go up there and work with him on one. But I love
Shout
it.
out to Steve, man. Steve, my guy, because that's how I feel too. Like, that's not my flow.
Yeah, you know? Steve is very good. One of the things that Steve does is, like, if I'm out in the crowd and I'm doing stuff, if I do like a you know, because you're always joking around with the crowd trying to get them to laugh and stuff, and if I do a joke, he'll scratch real quick so everybody like kind of like a drum roll.
Okay,
so,
okay.
Yeah, he's so in tune with what's going on and what we're doing on the floor and trying to keep everybody engaged, and he's trying to be a part of that with his turntables. You know, he might not do it with a mic, but he does a really good job. So, but yeah,
he speaks with his turntables, basically.
That's right. That's exactly right. So yeah, I love being out there with the crowd. So one of the things that I do that's a little bit different than most DJs, and of course I have somebody with me, so it makes it easier to do, is, you know, I want to know what the vibe of the crowd is before we ever start trying to entertain them. Are they going to be stuck up? Am I going to have to work really hard? Or am I going to find some groups in there that I can start cutting up with or interacting with where I can kind of get a feel for what kind of night we're going to have? So while people are coming in from cocktail hour or even during cocktail hour, if it's in the venue, I'm walking around just chatting with people like I'm part of the family. They know I'm the DJ. They see me with my notes. They see me with my microphone. I'm not using it yet, but it's an easy way for them to identify, okay, this guy doesn't belong here. He's the DJ. But when you start cutting up with them and you start chatting with them and talking to them, and like simple things like, hey, I hear you guys are going to be my party table. Which one of you is the rowdy one? You know, doing things like that. Well, then that gets everybody kind of cutting up and getting loose because, you know, people are embarrassed when the DJ gets them on the dance floor and stuff like that.
So, yeah. The spotlight. They don't like the spotlight.
That's right. So that's one of the things I like to do is just kind of break the ice before we even need to break the ice. Let's get in there. Let's start chatting with everybody. And then when it's time for me to start getting engaged with everybody with the microphone, they already know that I'm there to have a good time. They're ready to have a good time. And it makes that transition a lot easier. It does for me anyway. I know some DJs will stand back and just wait for all right, we'll introduce everybody. And then they're just waiting to play dance music, and which is great. And there's a niche for that, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, so it just depends on what you kind of want to do.
I do take a different approach. It's kind of similar, but the only thing is that I'm not the talkative person to like right now with you and like, you know, with people around it's fine. I can talk and whatever. But when it's like in person, like I'm very shy. So I don't talk. But what I'm doing when on cocktail hour, that's why I love when they give us the chance to do cocktail hour. It's that I walk around the whole place watching every single person for any movement, any like lip singing,
right?
Just anything that is gonna help you and it guides you to, okay, you know, this is the people you gotta go for, because if they break the ice, they start dancing, then you're gonna get the rest of the crowd coming up. But like the way you do it, it's even better because you're building that connection
That's right.
with the crowd already, right? Even before the event starts. So that's even better. That's something I'm gonna tell people to do. I'm like, yo, start going there because he doesn't care. He'll talk to people.
Right.
So like that's a great tip. Tip number one, guys, go talk to the people during cocktail hour.
Yeah,
It's
man. Listen, I mean, I'm sure you've done weddings where you see the that one guy that just tough guy, like doesn't want to be a part of anything that's going on. But
yeah,
I'm going to tell you that by the time the night's over, I'll have that guy laughing, cutting up, and probably on the dance floor because that's the guys that those are the people I'm trying to get to loosen up a little bit. You already got
correct.
people that are glad to be there. They're ready to dance. They're begging you to dance, right? They've
Yeah.
already got a little bit of liquor in them. They're ready to go. So my goal is to get the ones that aren't normally those people. And when you start getting them, the next thing you know, everybody's on the dance floor. You got people being thrown in the air and whatever. So yeah, it's a great tip. I learned that one a couple years after I started because I was realizing I would be real nervous getting on the microphone before the event started because I didn't know what kind of crowd I had.
Uh-huh.
So once I started doing that, completely lost that nervousness, man. I don't even care.
What is your approach when you do like to when you walk in to start introducing? Like how do you do it?
So there's an icebreaker that I do there. So again, I've already kind of interacted with everybody, so that's part of it. But I kind of watch for the bride and groom. It's going to be 45 minutes to an hour for their pictures. But when I start seeing them coming towards wherever we're having the reception,
Mm,
I tell the bride and groom way beforehand, like, look, about 10 or 15 minutes before you come in, I'm going to kind of break the ice, everybody get them ready for y'all to come in. So I do an icebreaker, and what I do is I'll tell everybody at the tables. I say, all right, I'm Jimmy. We're here to celebrate whoever the wedding couple is and all that. And then I'll just start right out with I need one person at every table to hold up a dollar bill, and then so everybody's kind of looking around. And then if I don't see a lot of people, I'll say any denomination's fine. It doesn't have to be a dollar. So then everybody starts holding something up, and then I go through a list of things that I have them hold up. We'll play a song. They pass that around the table. And then when the song stops, I'll say, all right, who's got the dollar bill? And when they hold up the dollar bill, I say, all right, you're the table captain. You're in charge of making sure everybody has fun tonight. And then so
mm.
everybody laughs and cuts up and they're pointing at the table captain. Well, then there's a fork. So if you get the fork, you're the table's waiter. If you get the drink, you're the table's bartender. If you have the cell phone, you're the table's photographer. And whoever has the napkin has to stay after and help clean up. And that's always the last one I say. And of course, everybody's dying laughing because they're like, you got the napkin. So again, we just did that to break the ice. That takes about 5 minutes. It's
Yeah.
fun. It breaks the ice. And then I say, all right, now keep those napkins in your hands. We're getting ready to introduce the bride and groom. Who's ready? And everybody starts screaming. And then we always do stuff like, well, I didn't hear you. I guess nobody's excited. And they're like, oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we'll start the introductions at that point.
Okay. Okay. So you do like a break the ice type of
That's
thing.
right.
Do you use a song? Do you have any specific song for that, or you just do it a
I'm a,
cappella?
so one of the things, oh, you mean during that part? So there's
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard it, but it's a very popular old, I don't know, 40s or 50s song. It's called Sing, Sing, Sing. I don't know who the
I've
original
I've
artist
heard
is,
about it.
but it's
Yeah.
just like if you ever saw the movie Mask, it was the drum part that they played when he was dancing in Club Cabana or whatever.
Okay.
So it's just a drum beat in the background and just like horns and stuff. There's no singing or anything, but it's kind of a pace. So it just kind of gets everybody passing the stuff around. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, but you could play anything there as long as it's upbeat. That's just a song we
Well,
play.
well, okay, but what I mean is like when you start talking, like like your introduction, basically your introduction to start talking. So like for instance, Pee Wee, I use memories and I just take out the vocals, and then once he hears the beat drop, that's when he walks in and starts talking to everyone, to everybody, like, hey, good evening,
I got
like he says. But do you use a song that you know is yours to start talking, or you just do it dry?
so normally just start dry, but Steve brings in that sing, sing, sing because we're immediately going into that
Okay,
icebreaker.
so
Yep,
eventually, so you start dry, but eventually it transitions to that sing, sing, sing.
that's right.
You
Yes,
do
sir.
the little game.
That's right. Yep.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, so
Um,
that's a
Yeah, because
different.
my goal at that point is just to get everybody's attention, which is the
Mhm.
same as what y'all are doing. You guys are doing it with a song, and then because I know we're getting ready to. I mean, Steve literally brings that in as soon as I get everybody's attention. He starts bringing it in real soft, and then that's playing in the background while I'm talking. And then
Hmm.
when I tell everybody to start passing everything around, he turns that song up. So it is playing. He turns it up, and then when we stop it, then there's no music playing, and then I'm telling everybody to do the dollar bill or whatever. So
Okay. So, yeah, so for me, or at least for us, I feel like the the beat dropping, like, so I literally play it when the beat goes tum, tum, right when you hear that, everybody's like what happened, like, then they turn and look at us, and
yeah,
then that's when he, like, because you get everybody's attention without really, like, having to push for it, because
right.
everybody's like, oh wow, like, so
Yeah.
it
So there
works.
was a time when we would play. So one of the things we do is we have a couple planners that we send to our brides. I'm sure every DJ does something like that. But I let the bride pick every song for every detail of the night. Uh,
Hmm.
or like I just had a consultation with the bride last night. She said, I don't care what you play, just make sure it don't have cussing. You pick the music. Okay, well, at least tell me what kind of music you like. I mean, that's
Yeah,
kind of a
something,
big,
give me something.
yeah, right, right. So, but most of the time, my brides are pretty good about really kind of every little detail of the night. Like when we do the shoe game, is there a specific song you want me to play? If not, we'll play "Married Life" from the movie Up. It's just piano and stuff in the background, but a lot of brides and grooms, especially the younger ones, know that song because it's from that movie Up, and it's about marriage and stuff like that. So um, but yeah, overall, we don't normally start with a song at that point. We like I said, Steve will bring it in as I'm talking, and then when
As you
we,
speak.
that's right,
Okay. So now you brought it up. The shoe game. You do it with music.
we do.
Okay, it's soft, but you do it with music.
That's right. Yep.
Okay, okay. When we do it, I don't put music. I didn't think about that. I didn't think
Yeah,
about
yeah, yeah. So
music.
that particular song is real soft. It's not. I mean, it's very, very mellow and soft.
Uh
So
huh.
it's just playing in the background enough to where it's just an ambient sound. Uh,
Okay.
but everybody recognizes it when they hear it because if you've ever seen the movie Up, then it's the song that goes through the whole movie. But again, it's the soft version. When have you seen the movie?
No, I
Okay,
don't really
it's
watch movies.
animated. So I had kids when that movie came out. So yeah, it's very soft and like Jason just said, it adds to the ambience of the game. So and it
Yeah.
does. It's real soft and quiet, but it's enough to where it's playing in the background, just more ambience, like he said.
Okay. Oh yeah, it makes sense. So when you do the consultations with the bride and groom, do you offer the games, or you wait for them to tell you about, like, the games, like the shoe game or the picture dash,
So,
all of those things?
so I have two planners that I send my bride. So it depends on if we do ceremony and reception or just the reception. So I have a ceremony planner, and it's just about the ceremony. Who are we walking down the aisle? What music you want played? I mean, I don't know how many questions it is, but it'll probably take somebody a half hour to fill it out just because I want every detail. And then the
Correct.
reception planner at the very bottom of it, it says, here's some icebreaker things that we do. Are you interested in those? And so we do a game called the dance game. So when we open up the dance floor, the hardest thing to do when you're at it, especially a non-drinking wedding, is to get people on the dance floor.
Ugh, tell
So
me
one of
about
the
it.
do what?
Tell me about it. Those are
Yeah.
hard.
So one of the things, and this is a kind of a secret. I actually Jason was using it on his channel one time, and he had told everybody that he was doing the game, and I'm like, hey man, that was kind of my thing, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry. So, but we play a game where we play a song, or we invite couples up to the dance floor, and then you get them up there, and they have to have a partner. And when they're up there on the dance floor, I'm in the middle usually, and I'll say, all right, we're going to play a song. While that song's playing, you got to dance. When you're done, when we stop the song, we're going to call a letter of the alphabet, and you and your partner have to make that letter with your bodies. And
Okay.
so what it does is it creates an environment where people are stretching and getting loose on the dance floor, and they're laughing at other people because they're making some pretty unusual letters when they're doing that. So that's how we usually open the dance floor. But that's one of those things that I'm already planning on doing that. But I
Uh-huh.
discuss it with the brides and say, hey, look, this is one thing we do to open up the dance floor. And we every once in a while we'll have a bride say, no, nah, we're not interested in that. The last wedding I did, they said, no, we don't want to do that. and
So,
we were
so you
having.
get more yes than no's
Oh
on those
yeah,
type.
oh yeah. I probably 95% of the time we do it. Yeah. So, but the last wedding we had, the bride and groom had said, no, we don't want to do that. But we were having such a good time with their guests. I mean, they were just, I mean, anything we did, it was just, oh my God, this is so much fun. So she was going to change her dress, and I said, hey, I know you said you don't want to do this, but I'm telling you, it's going to be a hit. And so she said, yeah, y'all do it. And when she came back, and everybody was laughing and having a good time. So, yeah, again, some of the games we do, the customers will ask, hey, can we do this? Can we do that? So I don't plan on doing the shoe game unless they ask me to.
Okay.
I don't plan on doing the longest couple dance unless they ask me to. But most of the icebreaker stuff, we do a thing when people get done eating too. That's an icebreaker that helps the photographers get pictures of everybody. So, and again, I think, you know, every DJ does it different, and there's no right or wrong way. I personally believe that. I don't think there's a right or wrong way, because when I did it before I did the dance game, that was the right way. And then when I added the dance game, okay, now that's the right way. So there's no right or wrong way,
Hmm.
but you have to be receptive to what your bride and groom want. So I can tell you that from our business standpoint, people like the interaction, they like the games. And then when we open the dance floor, then it's strictly dancing. We don't do anything crazy then. We just dance. We'll hand out glow sticks, do that stuff. But at the end of the day, during from the ceremony to the time you open that dance floor, whatever you can do to keep people engaged. I've been to weddings when I wasn't engaged, and I was so bored I wanted to leave. And I'm sure you
Yeah.
have as well.
Yes. So
So
there's ones that are so long. Like there's so many things that they want to do that
right.
people, the guests are just like when is this over? Like we want to dance or like something, you know?
That's right. So my goal is to break that up. I'm going to break that up over that 2 hour period before we open the dance floor. I want people to have fun. I want them to walk away going, that was the funnest night. I'm so glad I came. Right.
Correct.
And so that's the goal. My goal is to play great music and have fun. But I also know that I'm not going to get any more gigs if I can't get people to talk about me when they leave.
Yeah.
So adding some of that stuff, I know some DJs don't want to do that and they think it's stupid. And that's okay. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
Mm.
But our business model uses that stuff, and that's why we get so much. I mean, I'm doing a wedding 2 weeks from now, and it's the fifth wedding from a wedding I did 3 years ago. And it's
Wow.
because, you see what I'm saying? So it's a
Yeah.
chain of events. And, if you do a good job and you get everybody engaged and everybody's having a good time, then the music is a part of that. The lighting is a part of that. The games are a part of that. Your attitude while you're there is a part of that. Don't sit down, stay off your phone, be engaged. I mean, all that stuff, and then that makes it a great night for your bride and groom or anybody
Yeah.
that you're trying to entertain. So
Yeah. So everything is connected. It's like a chain. One thing goes to the next, goes to the next, and at the end of the day, like everything is just one piece. And then they're not gonna be like, oh, like he was so fun, but like the light was no. Everything was amazing. That's
right,
what they're gonna come up with, and that's what we're looking for
right,
at the end of the day. Like I'm telling you, that some of the ideas that you're saying, that the icebreaker things, like I don't know if they're not common here, but I like it. Like it's different, and those are things that makes you guys different than a lot of wedding DJs. So that's a plus. That's a plus for you guys.
yeah, and again, I don't know. I've never been to a wedding where people do the stuff that we do, so I don't know if a lot of people think that that's okay, or they just, I don't know. I don't. I know Jason does some of the stuff because we've shared it with him, and I know he uses it, and it's been successful for him. But we do have brides that say, "Hey, I just want you to come. We're going to eat dinner. I just want you to jam out all night." Okay,
Mhm.
bet. I'm happy to do that too.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, sometimes I am happier to do that. It's less setup time.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, at the end of the day, man, I'm there for my couples, my brides. I tell everybody, if it's ethical, legal, and moral, I'm down.
Yeah, they go legal more. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
that's a good one right there.
uh,
How long does it take you? You would say like after consultation, right? After you grab everything from the couple, how long do you take to prepare everything like music. Make sure that you have all the things that you're gonna take in general. How long you think it will take you? It
Oh,
would take you.
wow. Well, if you asked me that 20 years ago or 15 years ago, I would have told you 20 hours maybe for each couple. Uh,
Okay.
but but let me tell you this too: is I was back then I was still nervous about getting in front of people. A little awkward, and so I would practice in a mirror saying people's names and doing introductions, and so I count that as part of that 20 hours. I didn't have a big music portfolio, so spending time purchasing all the songs that I thought and staying on iTunes trying to buy music all the time. So um, finalizing timelines and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. So there was a lot of time spent that probably today I don't spend.
Hmm.
I'm confident when I get in front of a crowd now. I have crates set up, and I'll have a crate. If they give me music, I'll have their own crate built and ready to go. And I probably own 95% of the music they might request because I've been doing it so long. So
Yeah.
as you grow your business, and I don't know if I've said this already, but if you're trying to invest in your business to make your time less, like setup time less and all that, well, then you have to get better in other areas of that as well. So making sure your timeline is defined and you can build a timeline in an hour, right? And
Yeah.
so when my brides give me their planners back, I have a system down where I can literally build that timeline in 20 or 30 minutes. And then I send it back for them to approve. And then they tell me, yeah, I like it, or hey, change this. And then we're done. And then a week before their wedding, we go over it one last time to make sure nothing's changed. So now I would say 5. And if it's a big wedding where I'm planning on doing a bunch of lighting and stuff, like the club events,
Yeah.
I would say maybe 10 hours for each event. So
Okay. And when you talk to your client, so when you talk to your clients, do you ask if they're gonna have a day of coordinator or they have a wedding planner? And if they do, how do you communicate with that person, or you let them do everything, just wait for the timeline? Like, how do you work with that?
So the very first thing on both of my planners is tell me all your vendors, their phone numbers, and their email addresses. I personally reach out to them, give them my timeline. I would rather them have mine first and build around mine than me trying to build around theirs. Right?
Okay.
So think about all the people at a wedding that have a timeline. Your photographer, they're going to have a timeline. Videographer, they're going to have a timeline. You're going to have a timeline. So if you're not all communicating, guess what? Somebody's going to want to change something during the wedding.
Yeah.
So
That is,
I would rather them change their stuff before the wedding,
of
or
course. Yeah.
worst case scenario, I'll change one of my things, whatever. But so I reach out to all of them. I put them in a group email, and I'll say, hey, I'm Jimmy. I'm with J&D Productions. I'm the DJ for the day of blah 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 blah. And if there's a wedding planner, I make sure to partner with them on the side and just say, hey, I'm here to help. Whatever you need. Typically, we handle the reception. You can handle the ceremony, and we'll work together in between. And
Okay.
that's usually how we do it. And I'll be honest with you, not a lot of wedding planners out there that I've enjoyed working with. There are about 5 of them that I love working with. The rest of them are just they're not in
Like
it for the right reasons.
90%, 90 to 95% of them don't know what they're doing. That's
I
crazy.
listen. I tease a lot, and I say that if they've ever watched, there's a J Lo movie where she was a wedding planner. I think
Oh
that
yeah, yeah. That
yeah,
I see. That
yeah,
is.
yeah. So I think that they think that's what it's all about, and unfortunately, they don't understand that when things go wrong, you got to be the person to be strong and take care of whatever that problem is. And I mean, I've held a cake while the customer or while the bride and groom was cutting it because it was collapsing because of the heat. And I'm standing in the picture. You can see my hand in the picture holding the cake, icing it all while they're cutting that cake. So you got to be ready to change and be adaptive to whatever's going to happen. And
That's
unfortunately,
huge.
a lot of those planners don't just unfortunately either don't have the experience or they're in it for the wrong reasons. You know what I
Some of them
mean?
like once they freak out, like they freeze
Yeah.
and they go like in like a panic mode. It's crazy. And
I had
then
a what? Go ahead.
you think about it and you're like, you're a wedding planner. Like
Right.
you should be ready for all this stuff. And then we are the ones that like saving your ass.
That's
You
right.
know, like that's crazy.
Yeah, I had a wedding planner one time. The part that they were responsible for was a train wreck. It was not going well. The bride was outside screaming, crying, and she thought that was a good time to start handing out business cards to all the guests at the wedding. I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm working with this person. So, but yeah, if you find a good one, like if you go on our website, we have vendors that we've worked with in the past that
Uh-huh.
we feel like have the same goals that we do about taking care of our customers and doing the right thing. So when customers ask us, hey, do you know anybody that does this? Yeah, go to my website, go to the vendor tab, and those are vendors that we feel like are very good at what they do, and we would hire them if it was for our wedding.
Okay.
So, but I listen, I don't put everybody on there. I just put the ones I feel like are gonna do it. Dale Edwards is on here. He said most planners are family that don't have a clue what they are doing, and that is 100% the truth, Dale.
It's always the cousin that didn't make it to the bridal party.
Yeah.
The bride, yeah, that's one of it.
Yeah, we don't want you to walk with us, but we'll let you plan the damn thing, right?
Exactly. So they're like trying to be there, and then at the end of the night, like they're so drunk, and like, hey, with the cake, there's no there's no like knife. There's like not
Yeah,
like the cake is falling because
yeah,
me too. I did a wedding, and then the AC was broken of the venue. It
right.
wasn't working. So the cake by like 2 or 3 hours after like the ceremony ended, it was like the Eiffel Tower. It was like this. Like
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
we had a literally I went up to the because the coordinator, I don't know what the hell she was doing, but I went up to her. I was like, look, we need to cut the cake now, or else there ain't gonna be no cake to cut in an
That's right.
hour.
That's
Let's
right.
do it now because the thing literally was like falling, and I was like,
Right.
do it now. So they did it, and then like kind of, we saved the night. But I don't know how you not gonna notice. Like you always wanna be knowing your surroundings, know what was going on, and she
Right.
was just like literally dancing, like just jamming to the music. Like,
Well,
thank you, I'm flattered, but
that's right. So I will tell you this, and Dale probably hit it right on the head. It's usually family members, but what I have found is the wedding planners I really, really enjoy working with. I've worked with multiple times, which means people are hiring them over and over. The
mhm.
ones that I just don't get along with, when I say that, I mean like we're not vibing. Like they think they're running the show, which I don't care who's running the show. I have a timeline I'm going to follow because my bride is paying me to do that. So you can run the
All right,
show,
yeah,
but I'm doing what's on this timeline because my bride asked me to. So when you don't see those wedding planners at every wedding. Usually it's just the one time and then you don't see them again. So fortunately that's good, not for them because they probably want to make a dream business out of it. But the ones that I work with frequently, when I see their names as the wedding planner, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a great wedding. I already know it's going to be a great wedding. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So
And of course, that's what you want to get also with like the wedding planners when they hear, oh, Jim is gonna be there. Oh, it's
that's
gonna
right.
be a lit party. So
That's
that's
right.
what you want to project, and that's what you want to get on people.
Yeah,
And that's great.
and it's funny you say that because a couple of the wedding planners here and around our area, when they recommend DJs, they recommend us, and it's for the same reason. They want somebody that's going to have a good time and they're going to have fun with, and they can work easily with. And so, if you're not going to partner with your vendors when they're there and not work with them, then they're not going to recommend you. And you got to remember, you got two customers at a wedding. You got the bride and groom, and well, actually, you got three customers: bride and groom. Every guest that's there could be a potential customer, and then whoever the vendors are, because they're the ones that are seeing what you're doing and are going to recommend you if you're doing a great job.
Yes, and that's very true. That's 100% true. When regards to like even the people that are working there are potential customers,
That's
and it
right.
happened to me. I did an event. I don't know if you saw it, but the one that I hit my subwoofer to the like roof of the
Right. Right.
okay,
Right. Right.
so
Yeah.
that one. Right when we got in there, I started just playing music while we were setting up, and then one of the girls that was actually one of the servers, she came out to me and then she was like, "I can tell that this party is gonna be lit." Just like that, we hadn't set up anything but my Everse 8 that it would have my music playing, and like Pee-wee and I were just singing, dancing, and like putting stuff together, right? And
Right.
she came out and she's like, "I can tell this party's gonna be lit just by the way you guys, like your demeanor, the way you guys are like just having fun
Right.
doing what you're doing." And
That's
I was
right.
like, "Oh, great!" And then I got two events from that girl referred me to two of her family members, and I got those events, and I actually did them. But
Right.
like you never know who's watching, so always give you 100%. Someone there is gonna want you if you do it right.
Yeah, and there's a lot of places you can go to get leads on the internet. Uh, Wedding Wire and all that stuff, and that's great if you want to spend all that money. But where you're going to get most of your business from is word of mouth,
Yes.
and that's where I get probably 75% of my business is word of mouth. We do bridal shows, and we've been successful at some of those.
Hmm.
But ultimately, it's word of mouth. When you do a wedding and people like what you do, they like the vibe that you're putting out, and they want to have that at their wedding, they're going to hire you. Because let's think about this. I'm assuming are you married?
Yeah, I'm
You've
married.
been married one time, right?
No, my second time.
Okay. I've been married one time. Before
Okay.
that, I wouldn't have known who to go hire, who does a good job. Where do you even go to get all that stuff? So if you see somebody doing a great job, it's just like if you see somebody cutting you grass and they're doing a great job, and you're like, man, I need somebody to cut my grass. Hey, you guys want to cut my yard? Same
Exactly.
principle. So it makes it easier for somebody that's looking for vendors if you do a good job, because now they're like, hey, I remember that guy. He did a really good job. Or I remember that girl when they were setting up the cake. They did a really good job. I want them.
Yeah.
You start getting that word of mouth, and the next thing you know, you're like, well, now I'm 5 weddings deep from a wedding I did 3 years ago, and it's like that's how you grow it. So
It's just those little things that can help you grow your business.
that's right.
Dale says that they try to run the show, but they never do. That's 100% right.
That's
And
right.
it's funny when they walk up to you and start asking you questions. Like, aren't you supposed to be the one, handling this stuff? Like, why are you asking me if
That's
the
right.
bride can do that? Like, no, like, it's crazy. And then Jason said that he uses Ever's 8 the past weekend, and he absolutely loved them. I told you, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I told you, Evers are great. They're amazing.
Yeah.
But
So
he had the white version too, so that's even nicer.
yeah, that's crisp. I liked it. He was showing, of course, when he got them, he was unboxing them with me. Like, hey, look at these bad boys. I'm like, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah,
So we use all EV equipment. All of our speakers are EV. So I don't have the Everse 8s, but I did tell him after he told me he had a good event, because we have ceremony speakers and stuff that are battery powered.
yeah.
So I told him, I said, I think I'm gonna go ahead and break down and buy one for my ceremony speaker and use it. He really loved it.
Yeah,
I was
it's so
thinking,
small. It's so small, compact, easy to set up. But poop, poop up. That's it. And
that's right.
it's like
What I like about it is that it has the power output for the
for the
wireless mic.
microphone. Yeah.
So I have a battery powered speaker, but I have to carry a separate battery for my wireless mics, which is not that bad. But having
Mhm.
it all in one speaker and then the wireless mic rack, which I saw you can buy for that, that's pretty
Yes,
cool.
you can buy the rack on top.
That's right. So
Yeah. So like for me, I was looking into that, but you have to buy one of those like the ones that are permitted by Evers, the EVs,
right,
and like the ER3 or something like that. And I was like, oh, I love my PTUs,
right.
so I just take an extra battery power thing and I connect it like that. But I mean, it has the option to do it,
That's right.
so
That's right.
it's fine with me. It works, and it's just like it's so clean. The music, the sound is so clean and crisp that
Yeah.
comes out of it. So I love it, and I use it for a booth monitor once it comes to the party time.
So
That's
we
when I
use
turn it
we use our battery powered speaker for that as well.
on. Okay.
So yeah, I would definitely use it for a monitor as well. And of course, I usually buy things in pairs. I probably won't buy that two of them right now, but I have a weird thing where I buy things. I buy two or in multiples like that. So I'll probably end up getting two of them at some point.
And what type which EVs do you have? Do you have the ETX or the EKX?
EKX. I have the
EKX.
EKX 15s, and then the subs are they're 18 EKX 18S. I think is what they are.
Okay.
So I have two of those, and then I also have the EKX 12s. So I have four tops and then two subs.
Okay.
Now, I don't use them at every wedding. It just depends on the size of the room. That what the video you saw, we used all of them there. We had to
Okay.
fill that room. That room is huge. So, but
And do you feel that? Sorry to cut you off. Do you feel like 15s are good with 18s, or do you feel like does it sound? Because to me, I think 12 over 18s are way better than 15 and 18. But you got more experience, more.
It,
You might
to
be.
me, it depends on how you want to fill the room. I do use the 15s and the 18s together more often than I do the 12s and the 18s.
Okay.
I think that if you're just looking for a good high-low, then the 12s and the 18s will be good. One of the advantages of having the 15s is they really pack that mid bass.
Yeah.
So that is the advantage of having those. It gives you that kind of punch. The subs are great. They give you a lot of lows, and there's a little bit of a punch there, but having that 15 gives you that like push in the chest punch. So, and not that we want it to be that loud, but when you open the dance floor, typically you're trying to make it like a club environment. You want it to be loud, and you want it to be people to be like, well, that's why they hired that guy. They didn't bring Uncle Jim in with his iPod and his Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah.
So it really just depends. Now, smaller venues, I might just do one sub and the two 12s, and
Correct.
I'll put the sub in a corner of the room somewhere where it fills the room. It doesn't have to be out front and center on those small venues. Now, when
Okay.
you get to the big dance floors, we try to set the subs right in front of the dance floor so you get that bass alley. So when you're on the dance floor, it jiggles your pockets. I mean, because those 18s, I mean, they
Yeah.
hit. Yeah, they hit.
they,
So
they got some power to them. Yeah.
yeah. I tell people all the time, they're like, how loud is it going to be? I was like, well, if you got change in your pocket, you'll feel it. So,
What do
yeah.
you think about column arrays?
The only downside to me is they don't fill those big spaces like the big speakers do. I don't think there's anything wrong with them.
Hmm.
I've actually thought about investing in them in the smaller weddings and stuff, but for the setups that I do and the amount of times that I think I would use those, don't warrant me at this point purchasing them for my business. But I do know DJs that use them. Like I know the Bose array systems, people use those all the time.
The
Um,
S1s.
that's right.
Yeah.
And they sound great. And I've heard them in larger venues. I feel like they just miss a little bit for what I like to hear. Now, like we've talked about, where some customers don't even know you made a mistake when you're scratching.
Yeah.
Some customers might not think that that's an issue, but when you're an audiophile, like I love music. One of the reasons I'm in this business is because of my love for music. So I want it to sound crisp and clear in every note and everything. And I feel like that if I didn't hear something that I should be hearing in those, I would be very disappointed. And I don't want to invest in that part of it. I haven't heard any that I feel like I've got to get those today, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. But
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
but I know that I probably could use them and use them all day, and I'd probably fall in love with them if I had them. But you know what I mean?
It's just the simplicity of it, pretty much.
That's right.
Yeah. And I'm telling, like, at least for me, the 44 G2s they're amazing. Man. I'm in love with the 44 G2s. Couple things, simple setup. It's just boop boop. That's it. No cables.
Right.
Obviously, you got that cable in the bottom, but like like just the presentation wise, it looks nicer. I really hate the skirts on poles. I don't like that.
Yeah, and we don't use the skirts on poles either. I don't like
Yeah.
it at
So what
all.
you like tape it or like
No,
bungees?
so if you see some of our videos, our facade takes it. We are behind. Both of us set up or behind a facade that
How big
is
is your facade?
6. So if you were to put it straight across, it would be 6, 10, 14 foot across. But it's not that big because the two panels go back.
Okay.
So the front wall of it is 6 foot across. And
Okay.
it's about 4 foot tall. And I actually built it. And the way we built it is we put lighting inside of it. So when we get to the venue, we plug it in. I can control the lights, how they work in it. They even chase inside of it.
Okay.
And there's fabric on the front of it. So it glows on that fabric. I can change the color of my facade to whatever color that the venue is. Like if they're doing a green or pink or whatever color. Um,
So
so
your speakers or your speaker stands, well, your speakers because they're on top of it. They're right next to you guys, behind the facade.
they're on either side of us, right? So they're
Right.
still in front of
Okay.
us enough to where they're not blasting our ears out. But the subs we usually set right in front of the facade. And again, if it's on the dance floor, it's right in front of the facade.
Okay. And
Uh,
is that a requirement for you guys? Like, they said like where you guys gonna set up or where you want to set up? Is that something that it's a require for you, or you just don't care? They can put you wherever you want, or do you mention that in your
Yeah,
consultations or whatever?
100%. We got to be on the dance floor, not on it, but right by it.
Yeah,
Don't
like
put me on one side of the room and the dance floor's on the other side. We're never gonna be able to entertain your guests that way. I need to be on the dance floor. And then that needs to be the central focal point for everything that happens.
that,
So
that's another thing that they wedding planners and like decorators they need to understand.
yeah,
They seem to forget that they don't. I don't know if they don't know or just they forget about us. But you always go to a venue and you see yourself in a corner away from the dance floor. Like I don't understand why. And every consultation after it happened to me that I had a they put me in a corner. Well, and that was when I was just started. But they put me in a corner, and there was like a wall in front of me.
nah,
I can't
nah.
see anything. So
So
I was like, oh hell no.
yeah, when I get to the venue now, so I ask the bride if I've never been to the venue, give me a floor plan, tell me where I'm going to be set up, and when I get that, if I don't feel like it's going to be a good enough place, I'll immediately reach out to the bride and say, hey, look, if you want to have a good time and I need to be as close to the dance floor as possible. Sometimes the things that limit you from that is power. We use gaff tape to tape all our wires and stuff down, so that's not an issue. But if the power is going to be 50 foot away from where you're setting up, then that might be an issue. I have enough cables to run from here 400 foot away, but the
Yeah,
further you get away from that power source, the more likely you're going to trip a breaker because you're drawing so many amps to get that far out. So
the is less reliable. So you
that's
don't
right.
want to do that
That's
far.
right. And then you start getting noise in your speakers because you're carrying that load for so long. And
Yeah,
so if I usually have it worked out before we ever get there that I'm on the dance floor. And again, I'm not on the dance floor, but right up to the edge of it. I want people when they're dancing to be able to walk over to me while they're dancing and say, hey, can you play this? Can you play that?
yeah.
Or when is this song coming up? Whatever they're asking. Um, and then that way we can stay engaged with them. The people that aren't dancing, I'm not going to be engaged with them. I'm trying to keep people dancing. So
Correct. Yeah, you want to
yeah,
keep people on the dance floor. You want to keep it busy.
that's right.
Now, with that being said, do you have any like with all this 20 years of experience that you have now? Do you have any like kind of like pet peeve or things that bother you that people do during the event? So, for example, like me, one thing that bothers me is that when they put me wherever they put me, and they always put like the grandparents in front of me. like
Everybody.
like the older people. Why are you putting the old people in front of me?
Because they can't hear that well. So the music ain't going to bother them.
It, but I always get a, can you turn it down a little bit? Like it's too loud. And I'm like, it's not even loud yet. I'm like at 9 o'clock. I'm not even at 12 o'clock yet. Like, how is
Yeah.
it too loud? And
Yeah.
it's always like very old people that are right. And so that's another thing that I say on my consultations. I say I need to be really, really as close as possible to the dance floor.
Right.
That's and I tell them like it's non-negotiable. If you want a good event, we need to be as close to the dance floor as possible. And
Right.
two, do not put me old people in front of me because they can't handle the noise. So
Right.
please have them far away from me,
Right.
and maybe kids or like young adults have them around me. That's fine. They can handle it, but older
Right.
people can't. So
So
that's
one of
one
the
thing.
things good about having the tops and the subs like we do is all I got to do is turn that speaker and it face it somewhere else, and it's not as loud, but it's still the same volume. So with
Okay,
the
yeah,
arrays, kind of like what you're talking
can't
about,
do that.
that's right. You can't do that.
Yeah,
So I'm not saying that's a reason to have those versus the arrays. I'm just saying that for us, occasionally we get that. The old people are sitting right underneath it, and the subs, right beside them, and so we just turn the speaker and face it another direction. But I do tell them, like, look, when we open the dance floor, it's going to get louder. So, and they're like, oh, we're not going to be here for that anyway. Okay, perfect.
that's what they say all the time. But
Yeah,
they're there. They're there for like partial
yeah.
of the time at least.
They're the ones cleaning up when everybody's gone.
Exactly. And I think like the most bothersome for them is the bass. Not so much the highs, it's just like the boom, boom. Like
Yeah,
when they hear that, like their ears are like bleeding or something. Like it's crazy. It's just funny. But I don't know why they
yeah.
do it.
A pet peeve of mine that it's not really from it's customers. or people that are there is they think my subs are tables and they put drinks on them, and they don't
Oh,
realize that that thing is just. I mean, and so constantly that, and then grabbing our facade when they're drunk, trying to come up and say, "Hey," and they don't respect the equipment, I guess. So that's one thing I have in my contract. If the bride signs is if any of my equipment gets damaged at your event, you're responsible for it.
yeah,
So fortunately, only one time has it been an issue in all the years. So that's good. But I can tell you that I'm a hawk. I'm watching every one of my uplights throughout the night. If you got 20 of them set up, you're looking to make sure there's 20 lit, right? Because if you see
yeah.
one missing, it's either gone or somebody kicked it and knocked it over. So
Or a kid is playing with it. Like a kid is
yeah,
playing
yeah,
with it.
yeah, walking around with it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
Yeah,
so annoying.
yeah.
Jason said that he got booked from a bride that saw him at
Oh,
at
nice.
a friend's wedding. That's nice. That's nice. That
Yeah,
means that you did it right.
that's right.
Tell me about them 44s. They're amazing. I tell you, like I mean, I love them for the type of events that I do. Up to like 150 people, small to medium, some large venues, not huge venues, but some large venues. It's good. It's good enough for the music and the sound that you want to project, and it's not. Uh, it's not crazy loud. It's loud and it packs a punch. It's very powerful, but it gets the job done. It's so compact. It's so easy to put. I mean, besides the subs that are like 80 pounds each, but it's fine. It's not that. It's not huge. It's not a huge deal breaker. But it's nice that the vocals on those 44s are amazing. Like you can hear every little crisp of your voice
Uh-huh.
through that. It's amazing. Songs, you just gotta listen to them, man. Like I'm telling you, you just gotta
Yeah,
listen to the
there's
44
a
G3s.
guitar center here in town, and they have them in there, so I have to go check
They're
them.
beautiful. William, well, how you doing, man? Another MC. He's an MC. So
Nice.
yeah, it's he's in Spanish, more Spanish MC, but he's pretty good. He I had him. What was it like 2 weeks ago, and he brought up some good points, good ideas. So
Nice.
that was a great time. Another what was it? I mean, I just lost my track. I was gonna ask you something. I just lost. Let's see. What you think about the EV ELX 200? I have the sub, the ELX 200. I love it. It's powerful. Obviously, the EKS and the ETX, they're way more powerful. But the ELX 200, that's the one I have, and I love it. And that's the one that I have older elder people telling me to like turn it down because it's too like the bass is too hard. So imagine that.
Right.
I don't know. Have you heard the 200s or
I have not. I have not.
no?
Yeah. So the EKXs is right about where we wanted to be. Of course, the cost of those were higher than what a lot of the speakers were at the time,
Yeah,
um,
because now
but
you're
they
talking
have,
about wood. You're talking about wood
that's right.
cabinets.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was getting ready to say. That the difference in sound quality is that those are wood, and the other ones are the plastic or
plastic. Yeah.
fiber, carbon, whatever they are. So there is a sound difference between those as far as the crisp and clear and all that. So when you
Hmm.
get that wood, man, it's incredible. But the downside is you got to be extra careful. So of course we have all the padded bags and stuff, and I've told you this before. The way we haul everything's in flight cases, so it keeps everything protected. So I don't have that issue, but somebody that's going to be like throwing that thing in their car all the time, they'll chip, because that's just a black coating on the outside of that wood. So you gotta be real careful with. But man, the sound, like I'm gonna be like that with my EVs, like you are with yours. The sound is incredible. I mean, it's ultimately incredible. And I know Jason's heard them. He can tell you that. Yeah, it's amazing. So
I bet wood built 100% over a plastic build
yeah,
anywhere. Like even because I've heard the EKXs and man, they have nothing compared to the ELX or the obviously the CLX, which is the entry level. And it's fine. It does the job for somewhat events, but if you're trying to get to the next level, wedding like big weddings and things like that, you want a minimum like EKX because ETX is the like the toughest, right? ETX, yeah,
it is. It
and
is.
then EKX is like the mid range,
That's right.
but
That's right.
but the
Yeah. So
EKX is pretty much all you need.
Yeah, listen, if I was doing on the road sound production, I definitely would go up a level. But for weddings and stuff, I don't think you need more than the EKX. I mean, they are. I fill up. There's a gymnasium that we do an event for. It's a nonprofit event, and it's a gym. And I take all four of my tops and my two subs, and you would think that you're at a concert. I mean, it's incredibly loud. It's clear. The only downside is when you're in a gym, there's an echo that you can't get rid of. Unfortunately, but
Yeah,
yeah. So I mean, that's the benefit of having that. So again, for me, having two kinds of speakers doesn't really work. I can get all that sound and stuff with my speakers that you can get with those arrays. But now I will tell you, if I was on the lower end of the EV spectrum, and we're comparing that versus your 44s, then yes, absolutely, I'd probably be with the 44s.
yeah,
Yeah, does that make sense?
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, yeah,
But I mean, because the 44 is something else too.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. If you give me an option, like if you like, oh, I'll give you four EVC Alexas or even the ELX, or you get two 44 G2s. I'm
Right.
like, give me the 44 G2, and I don't care about the other. So that's just what it is. Like the ELX and the that part of EV, it's like house parties, regular parties, basically. That's what
Well,
that's
one of the things, and I think I said this at the beginning when we started talking, is every DJ starts off with something, right?
correct.
I can tell you the turntable I started off with was a Behringer 6100 or something. It was just I just wanted something to control the computer so I looked like a DJ, right? So, and it worked. I mean, again, nobody cared. Nobody was, and the speakers I had were, I mean, compared to what I have now, are junk. Um, I probably paid, I mean, all in for my turntables and my speakers when I first started. I was probably all in maybe 2 grand, right? So now when you look at the speaker package that I have now, you're looking at, I don't know, 8, 9 grand in speakers. So everybody's got to start somewhere. And if anybody's going to take anything away from this tonight, is a couple things that I would share. Is one is you got to start. If you want to do it, you got to get into it and you got to start. You're going to make mistakes and you got to learn from that. I tell everybody that asks me, just learn one thing a day. Learn one thing a day. If you learn how to beat match today, learn that today. Tomorrow, let's learn how to use a stem. The next day, let's learn how to use your faders. The next, every day, learn something new. And then just like you told me earlier, your story about how you got started.
Mhm.
You got that $700 and you went and got what you could get.
Yeah,
But look at where you're at today.
yeah,
I mean, think about the events you've done and the people you've entertained all these years, and you started out with $700. Well, there's people that are going to watch this that are going to be like, man, I got $700. Man, you can go to eBay. You can go to, there's a lot of places that sell used music equipment, used turntables. You could buy some pretty decent equipment for $700. Is it going to be what we're all talking about today? Nope.
no,
But I tell you what, you do 5 weddings, you save some of that money, then go buy that turntable you want. Do another 5 weddings, save some money, go buy that subwoofer you want. Next thing you know, you're buying a trailer, you're getting a payment on a truck, you're hauling your gear around like a professional. You open that door and people are like, holy crap, who's here? You know, is
yeah,
this a DJ or Guns N' Roses, right? So, but again, you got to start somewhere. And then the other thing I would say that I would tell any DJ is when you invest money in your company, invest money that's going to make your job easier. It's really easy for us to see all the new lights. We can go to the shows in Vegas and see all the pretty things and the lights. And trust me, I see it and I want it and I want it all. But how's it going to help your business? If people aren't asking for it from you, then you probably don't need it right now. If you're looking at where you're going to spend your money, where do you need to spend it at, right?
hmm,
Go online and get lessons on how to be a better DJ. That's a great place to spend money because people pay for that. Go online and learn how to program lighting so you can have the best dance lighting out of anybody that you're in competition with. Um, Buy the lighting that's going to help you be successful. Don't go buy lighting because is it moves 5 different ways where the one you have now moves 3 different ways. I promise you that one light that you have is enough. we all started with a party light, right? The one with the mirrors
Exactly.
in it and it dances all over and has dots everywhere.
The
We've all
spider lights or the jellyfish. Yeah.
right, that's exactly right. We've all started with those, and guess what? We had a great time. Everybody had fun,
Yeah.
and people hired you because you did the stuff with that stuff. So, again, make your job easier when you invest in your business. Try to always be better and make your setup times quicker. I mean, I can't tell you how much money I've spent in just making my business easier to run. So, ultimately, those are the two things that I would say. Just learn one thing a day, start somewhere, and make your investment smart. Don't go buy stuff because somebody else has got it. These the tubes now that are everywhere. I love them, but I have a great lighting program. You don't like them? I've seen some setups where they're pretty cool. I know some of the big name DJs on YouTube use them a lot. But at the end of the day, I got a great lighting program. I don't need to invest in that right now. If a bride come to me and said, I'd hire you if you had those tubes, I'm probably not your guy. You know what I mean? I'm
Exactly.
not going to go invest money because one person. Now, if every bride that called me goes, "Hey, do you got those tubes?" Well, I probably need to go get them.
Well, yeah, if it gets to that point, then yeah,
Right,
you
right, right.
probably.
That's like cold sparks. I don't have those, and there's a reason. I've never been asked for somebody. Nobody's ever asked me for those.
Mhm.
But if I had a bunch of people asking me, I'd probably invest in trying to get some. So just be smart about where you spend your money. You'll be surprised at what you can get if you're smart with it. And the next thing you know, you've got
Yeah.
the best gear, the best setups, and all that stuff. And you'll be amazed at how fast that can happen if you just be smart about it.
Yeah, and also like just to piggyback on what you're saying, work hard, work like you really want it. And like you said, you having the new stuff doesn't make it better.
Right.
You have all the nice, but what good does it do for you to have the Ring 4? Let's say a new DJ, brand new. What good does it do for you to have the SRT 100, the freaking Rain 4, the Rev 7, all
Right.
those big controllers, and you don't know how to do anything? Like,
Right.
you're gonna be like, what is all these buttons?
It's
Like,
just a paperweight. Right. Yeah.
exactly. And then at least for me, and like I was talking before we went live, I was talking to you about my story. I started with a Newmark Slave 4, and it was just this big. It ain't that big. It was, but to me, it was like, what the hell is all these buttons do?
Right.
Imagine a freaking SRT is like, it's gonna be like a airplane.
Yeah.
Like like you're driving an airplane. There's so many buttons in there.
Right.
So be smart with the purchases that you do. Don't go buy like the top of the line speakers when you're doing house parties.
Right.
There's no need for that. Get what you can get with whatever money you have and build up. And I mean, maybe do it like I did, or maybe there's another way to do it. But I separated that. I wanted to start this as a hobby, so I said everything that I make out of DJing, that's what I'm spending. So
Right.
return on investment,
That's
pretty
right.
much. So you don't, because you wanna earn that money to get that, like, oh man, this is what I got. Like, if you look back now to from where you started, and you said that one before, you look where you started and look what you have now.
Right.
Like, you wouldn't believe it. You'd be like, wow, like, I
Yeah.
started with 700, and
Right.
now you're looking like at my equipment, looking at almost $20,000.
Right.
But I started with 700.
Yeah, but
So
when you started, you wanted $20,000 worth of equipment. You just couldn't afford it. But you were smart about it. You took that $700. You said, "I need this. This is," and that's what they gave you. You went and did your parties. You started making money. Next thing you know, you got $20,000 worth of equipment. You're rocking
mhm,
and rolling. You're blowing the world up. The world's on fire. And another thing I would tell people when it comes to being new, find somebody to mentor with. Maybe it's not in your area. Jason and I have spent a lot of time together. We have. I know he's not on here, but we've only seen each other a couple times, like in person. But we talk once a week or twice a week, Like,
Mhm.
because we reached out to each other. I saw that he was starting out, and I wanted to help him out, and then of course he's also giving me tips and stuff too as he's learning things. So just find somebody you can mentor with, because what you don't know, somebody else has already done and went through, and it might make that transition from you being the new guy to being mediocre pretty quick. So
Oh, he's here. He's here.
you know what I'm talking about, Jason. So
So
yeah, I mean that's the thing is don't be scared to network. When
exactly.
you're out and about and you run into it, if you do a bridal show, go talk to those DJs. You might not be friends with all of them after that show. They might not talk to you while you're at the show, but I guarantee you one of them will talk to you, and then you'll start to become friends and you'll start to network a little bit. I promise you, there's enough work wherever you live at, wherever you're DJing at. There's plenty of work for everybody. You're not competing with them. You're competing with the customer that you're trying to get. It's kind of like playing blackjack. You're playing the dealer. You're not playing everybody at the table. So
Exactly.
your dealer is the bride. You're trying to convince your bride that you're the best, and the only way you're going to do that is by being present. Doing a good job, all the stuff that you're supposed to do with customers. So find somebody to network with. That helped me out tremendously. There's a gentleman on that's watching right now. His name is Dale. He lives in Virginia, actually. Um, and we were in a networking group. Yeah, he lives in Duffield. I don't know if you know where that's at.
Where was it?
Duffield, Duffield, Duffield.
Oh no,
Pennington Gap. You know where that's at?
no. Wait, I never heard of that.
All right. Well, it's up in Virginia. How about that?
And I'm
So
in Virginia. Never heard of that.
anyway, him and I and his wife and a bunch of us were in a wedding vendor group, and we were in that group from the first day it started, and to this day they're family. They're actually in Jacksonville this week. We had dinner with them Sunday, and we're going to have dinner with them again tomorrow night. But we built that from a networking group. So make sure to find those groups that you can reach out and network to. It might be all photographers, but I guarantee you're going to learn something. They're going to tell you that every time you turn those lights on with the dots and you're putting them
They
all
hate
over the
it.
bride and groom, you're pissing them off. So when you start learning that stuff, they're going to start recommending you because now you're not putting the dots all over the bride and groom.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's great. He said,
that's another thing I was gonna say. But yeah, he said Duffield. I'm gonna have to research that because I never heard of that. I didn't even know that existed here in Virginia.
you know where Wise, Virginia's at?
No.
Okay, so yeah, it's all around there right together. So anyway, yeah. So
Oh,
I mean, and ultimately, just finding somebody to mentor with you. I know you're a mentor to a lot of people because you do this channel and you're sharing all your experiences, and you're kind of being a little vulnerable. You're putting yourself out there for people to see and understand what you're doing. And
hmm.
I mean, you're making an impact on somebody, and they're going to start doing that with somebody else down the road. And again, we're not competing with each other. I'm not competing with you, even though I'm doing a wedding there in a couple of weeks. I'm not competing with you, right?
No.
So, at the end of the day, it's all about working together and networking and just having a good time, man. There's so much work to go around that.
Honestly, I'm not. I'm not. I don't feel like I'm even close to your level. So there's definitely no competition at all. You know. you,
Listen, I promise you that if we were in the same town, we would be competition from that standpoint. But I don't look at anybody, even the guys that are 20 times better than me. I don't look at them as competition. I'm not trying to.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to beat them. Right?
Correct.
I'm trying to run my business and get as many customers as I can. And if I know that 75% of my customer base is word of mouth, there's not other DJs that are doing that word of mouth. It's these customers that I'm entertaining. So again, I'm not competing against them.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So if you can get that out of your mind and start thinking, hey, this is a business we can all be in and share the experiences with, man, you're going to be surprised at what you learn. The guy that DJs with me, he got free speakers from a guy just because they were buddies, and the guy realized that he was a DJ and didn't have equipment. And the guy gave him a set of Mackie Thumps, I think they're 15s,
Hmm.
so he could have speakers so he could start doing his own weddings.
Oh,
So
bless him.
again, it's the networking piece and just taking care of your customers and doing the right thing. At the end of the day, you're going to win every time. So
That, bless. And it's so amazing how you find this specific type of people that are willing to help. That was a huge thing for me when I started. I didn't have anyone to help me. Like I didn't know any DJ. I'm not a person that's gonna talk. I'm also not so much a person that's gonna like ask for help. I didn't even know who to ask for help for this. So I just like started doing like research. And I know like there's a lot of people that are not into like sitting down on a computer and research and research and research. So that's why I was like, you know what, maybe just opening a YouTube channel and just talking about from my experience, my standpoint, and how I started. Maybe like you said, it might help somebody or spark something on someone else, and guide them, and then they can do the same thing. Because there's, I want to say maybe like 80% of the DJs are very into themselves. They don't want to share they don't want to share their knowledge. But to me, it's like if you don't share what you know, then it's gonna die down. And we love this so much that we want it to grow, not die down.
That's right.
So
Yeah, I want to go to weddings where everybody has fun, and I would love to go to a wedding that I was doing where I could see myself doing it. So the more people that we're talking to and we're sharing our stories with, and even sharing some of our secret things that we do, you're still not going to be my competition. At the end of the day, there's plenty. I can't stress this enough. There's so much opportunity for everybody out there.
yeah,
In the city I live in here in Jacksonville, there's 1.8 million people, and there might be, I don't know, 300 or 400 DJs here in Jacksonville. There might be more, I don't know. But at the end of the day, 1.8 million versus 200 or 300, plenty of room. Plenty
exactly.
of room.
Exactly.
So
I feel the same way. That's why I don't mind like when I have a couple of friends like tell me, hey, can you how much you charge me to like teach me? I'm like, charge you? No, just come to my events and I'll talk to you and show you what I do. And and
that's
I just like I did the high school event. I've never done a high school. I mean a middle school. I never done a middle school event, and then my friend just came up to me like, "Hey, I landed. I don't know how he landed, but he landed the gig, and he's starting." And I was like, "Bro, I'll go with you." And I went with my stuff,
right.
and I put all of my equipment. I gave it to him. I let him. I was like, just worry about you. Charge whatever you want to charge. We're gonna go with my stuff, and then I'll DJ, and then I'll show you what I do.
Right.
So like I wish I had someone that would have done that for me.
Yeah.
But it also depends on the person. There's people that wanna like to lead or like to teach other people. There's ones that don't like to. So it's very important. Like I said, Jason was very blessed to find you. You actually reach out to him from a post that he did.
I did.
So
Yeah.
you don't see that often. You don't see, oh, there's you see a lot of people saying, oh yeah, hit me up and I'll help you. You hit them up and then crickets. They don't reply to you. They don't answer. And just so they can say, oh, he was nice enough to say I help. But you actually stood out to your word and actually help and guide. And then he's so thankful for you. He always says it. Like Jimmy is like my great mentor, and like so I was like, hey Jimmy, I want to know. I want to meet Jimmy. So like
Well,
it's just growing.
I'll tell you this, and if anybody that's watching, I can be a resource. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of time to tell you, answer questions or whatever, or even we can hop on a call like this, and if you need help with something, I'm happy to do it.
Mhm.
I'm getting older. I enjoy it. I'm going to do it as long as I can, but at some point, I'm going to have to hand that torch off to somebody. So I would love to, be the person that helps people get to maybe where I'm at one day, or surpass me and go 10 times further. That would not hurt my feelings whatsoever. So,
No, that will actually make you proud because you were a part of their knowledge, so they can grow like
right.
that. It's like a baby. Like you want to see them grow and be successful.
That's right. That's
That's
right.
what it is. Dale, by the way, you said southwest tip of Virginia. How far is that from Manassas? There you go. Tell me in hours, so I know Manassas or like Bristol because I'm around Bristol, Manassas, in that area. So let me know how far you are from here.
So I'll tell you this: when the wedding I'm doing up there on the 19th, I'm actually staying with Dale in Duffield, so it's close enough to
Oh, we
Bristol.
might be closing.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay. Do you
yeah.
actually live in Virginia? Yes, Jason, I do live in Virginia, and apparently we're kind of close to Dale. So
Yeah,
So,
Jason, just so you know, we were talking before, and I told him that I had when he told me he lived in Virginia. I said, "Well, I'm doing a wedding in Virginia in a couple of weeks, so me and him might actually try to hook up and get together, and he's gonna come hang out with us and do a wedding with us. So that'd be kind of cool."
yeah, we're definitely gonna meet up. Have some dinner, lunch, or something.
That's right.
We'll record it for you guys so you guys
There
can
you go.
see.
There
That'd
you
be
go.
cool. About 45 minutes.
West
Oh,
of Bristol.
west for Bristol. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be a great time.
Yeah.
Another thing. Oh wait, we passed. But anyway, we'll try to cut it. But so once you're in the in the party part in the mix, he's coming. He's coming with you.
Hey, come on, big dog. You're ready. Let's go.
All right, it's gonna be a good reunion right there.
That'd be
So
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll bring it up. So what I was trying to say. So whenever you go to like start, like DJing the party, and you see like you listen to the crowd or like they need a break, do you have like a to go to like a go to folder or like a cheat folder or something like that that like those are bangers, and then you just throw them in there? Do you burn bangers or like do you like spread them out? What's your thought process on an event?
So when I'm actually playing, is that what you
Yeah,
mean? Like
well,
when I'm DJing? So
after like after like the
line dances and all that stuff.
yeah, all of the boring stuff. Yeah.
So back in the day, I used to have a list of, like you said, bangers,
Hmm.
and I would just methodically pick through that list and stayed in that pocket for as long as I could because I was comfortable there, right?
Correct.
One of the things I learned when I started working with Steve, the guy that DJs with me, is there's bangers in every kind of music. You just got to learn how to mix them into the music.
Hmm.
So when he started teaching me that, I now have, what used to be a little place this big. Now I'm not uncomfortable at all playing music anymore because I know I can go anywhere and mix anything at any time, right?
Hmm.
Whereas before, kind of like you and I were talking about, I was a jukebox. I would just play what you wanted me to play, and again, I felt safe in that. We're gonna play the line dances. We're gonna play the popular songs, get low, and all that stuff. We're gonna do all that. But when you start realizing that there's a lot more music out there that maybe you wouldn't think is dance music. I played a song one night just because I wanted to throw it out there, and everybody went freaking nuts. Like, I mean, it blew me away when I played it, and it was Mr. Brightside. So I just started playing the hook from Mr. Brightside, and everybody on the dance floor just started going bat crazy.
That's a banger.
Well, it is, but
Yeah.
that's not a song I would think is a dance song
Oh,
back
okay.
in the old days.
I feel
So
like Mr. Brightside falls more under like the sing along because it's just like everybody sings, everybody yells it, and like
yeah,
they're
you're
just
right, you're right.
jumping and
But and so when you start looking, and then you put something out there like that, and you realize it's a banger, and then you put PYT by Michael Jackson, and that's a banger, and then you start just kind of next thing you know, you're playing old rock, and you're playing an '80s song, and you're playing, I mean, and then you're just bouncing all over the place,
mm,
and every song hits. That's when you start feeling like, all right, I'm not scared anymore to kind of go out there and do what I want to do. I do ask my brides, like, is there a pocket you want me to be in? You want me to stay more country, more, whatever. And hopefully they never say country, but unfortunately, sometimes we got to play it. So now I'm kind of all over the place. I do have crates. You and I were talking about that earlier,
yeah.
or folders, if you want to call them that, either way, of all the genres of music. And I have in those folders like the bangers from that genre.
Mhm.
So, but I probably DJ more outside of the bangers because I'm playing around trying to find another banger to throw in there.
Okay.
So, and I've gotten more comfortable in my mixing over the years that if I throw something out and I don't see people reacting to it, I'm mixing out of it immediately. So, again, to answer that question, I don't have a set music that I play. There are some songs that I always play because I know that people are expecting them.
Yeah.
But if you look at any of my videos, every wedding we do, it's a little bit different. I don't have like a set go to list anymore, like I did back in the old days when I was uncomfortable doing it.
Okay.
And I think as you get more and more experience, I know you've been doing it for many years, and Jason has been in it a couple years, so he's getting that experience. But and he gets excited when he calls me and he's like, "Hey man, I just finished this gig, and let me tell you, man, I was all over the place." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, that's exactly where you need to be at, man."
You
Yeah,
know, it's really fun to be all over the place, and the reason why, at least for me, it's because mentally you're working, like you're
right.
thinking, and you're thinking fast, like this song and this song can go with this song, but it's completely different genre. Like I don't stay in the same genre for like more than 3 songs.
Right.
I'm switching, like I'm
Okay.
all, literally, because so I wanted, like, that's what I wanted to know, because I know there's DJs that they have a specific structure, so they do like 15 to 20 minute type of sets for each, and then like they switch genres like that. But to me it's, I feel like that's more like a club DJ type of thing
Mhm.
to do that.
Yeah.
But with us, like, you have a variety of people, you have different demographics. In one party you have Africans, you have Europeans, you have South Americans, North Americans, and like, let's say South Americans, Peruvians don't dance the same thing as like Colombians do. Besides
Right.
salsa, like there's so many things, so much music that you can go through, that it's so fun to just explore different genre and see what the people react to.
And it's funny you say that because one of the funnest things I love learning about cultures and people's backgrounds, and so what a way to meet people that that are different cultures that grew up in other countries. And so we did a wedding one time, and the bride was asking us to play carnival music, which I had no idea what that was.
Okay.
So you start researching and looking at carnival music, and I'm just like, man, there is so much music in this space that we could use for all these events, right?
Yes.
So, and of course, all of the music at their wedding was either carnival music or any of their, from their country. And I mean, that year was one of the best weddings we did, and I couldn't tell you what any of the songs were because she gave me all the music. She's like, here's a great list for you to play. And that's exactly what I did. I practiced 2 or 3 nights beforehand with the music she gave me to
Hmm.
make sure I was doing it justice and I wasn't in there just playing her music.
Yeah.
Um, but I actually posted a video on my YouTube page of one of the songs and I have played that song. It's called "Ah Gorilla," I think. But I've played that song at so many other weddings and events because just when they were dancing to it, it was incredible, absolutely incredible. And I just every time I even think about that song, I can go back to that wedding and see them dancing to it.
Were there like Brazilians or like
They were,
South Americans?
they were, yeah,
Brazilians? Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, when you say carnivals, is like is huge in Brazil. It's huge.
So so she was kind of a friend of a friend of a friend.
Okay.
So we met and started talking about her wedding before they actually hired me. She was telling me all the things, and she said, "Go home and look up carnival music." I said, "Okay." Well, of course, I was probably hours deep just watching. I mean, just the colors and the people, and I'm like, man, you know what? I don't want to DJ anymore. I want to go over there and do that.
Yeah, and
So
like majority of them, all you hear like
yeah, that's right.
so
Yeah, yeah.
it's so fun.
So yeah, it's that's one of the great things about doing this. And you were talking about the cultures and stuff. Is there's and especially here in Florida, there's everybody lives here, man. It's not just white people, black people, Cuban. It's everybody lives
Yeah,
here. So
everybody. Yeah.
and when you're at a wedding and somebody from a culture comes up and says, "Hey, can you play this? Can you write it down so I can find it?" And I will absolutely play it.
Uh,
And when you throw that out and you realize that everybody, it doesn't matter what culture they are, gets on the dance floor. All right, well, that's going in my banger list for this. So
you know, like, one thing that I do have to give uh the white people is that you guys will dance to anything once you're in the dance floor. Like,
now
we'll throw
we
anything.
can't dance, but we'll dance to anything.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. That's exactly, like, you got, like, you can't dance, but you're there moving
That's
at
right.
least. You
Hey,
know,
we're
like,
representing our people. That's
exactly. But with, at least with like Hispanics, like, they have to know the song, or like at least the beat of the music
Yeah.
to like keep going, or else they just give you looks. Like
So
I don't
yeah,
know.
we
That's
play a
something.
lot of Latin. There's a lot of Latin music that we play here. I say a lot, but we throw 4 or 5 Latin songs in at every wedding because there's always Latin people there. But you're right. They'll be on the dance floor when that music's playing, but when it's off, it's like, all right, we're gonna go sit back down and drink and eat and be merry. And I'm like, man, they were dancing so good, and man, they come out when it's time to dance. Man, they got dances, and I mean, it is incredible.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, you're right. They don't want to dance to nothing else.
yeah. Exactly. They want to dance to what they know, and then that's it. And then, but that's one thing that I do praise, like the white people. They man, you'll dance to anything, like weird movements, but you're there just having fun. Like you having a blast, and out of that, like we feed out of that.
Right.
It's so cool how it's just like you guys have no idea what the guy is or the girl is singing and saying, but you're just moving and like,
That's
boy,
right.
like
Well, yeah, yeah. No, I think that's what you find is that, you know, I wish everybody was like that, to be honest with you, because, I can be at Walmart and I'll hear a song and I'll be in there just, like you said, I'm dancing. It doesn't matter. I don't care who sees me.
uh-huh.
But yeah, some cultures, I guess, just don't get into it. I will say that other cultures are a lot better at dancing than white people for sure.
Yeah. But and then there is a so when you get an event that is let's say like you're not used to or comfortable with the type of music because it's completely different than what you're used to, you get a playlist and then you do practice it beforehand, because I know there's a whole bunch of these that just go up the day off with the music and then try to play it off. So you do practice before, because
Yeah.
that's
So
what I do. I practice it.
yeah, 100%. And I'll be honest with you, when I've been about 4 or 5 weeks now without a wedding, so I've got one coming up next. I think it's next weekend. Yeah, I'll be out in my. So I have a big building where we have 20-foot movie screen and the whole 9 yards, right? So I go out there and practice, so I'm not bothering anybody in the house.
Hmm.
But yeah, anytime you have a set list you're not used to, or different music, like the Brazilian music that we played for that wedding, I want to make sure, again, I'm there for the customer. And I don't want to shortcut them because I don't know their music. So I'm definitely going to practice it. I'm probably not going to be as good at it as somebody that's in that pocket all the time. So like if you play Brazilian music all the time, you would be a better DJ in that space than I would. I'm
Of
going to
course, yeah.
try my best. So yeah, I definitely want to practice that. But I practice, I think I shared it on I was in the comments one time on one of your video feeds. I'll go out and when I start practicing, I will literally change the way that my music is sorted just so I'm practicing different ways to transition into different songs. Sometimes the transitions when you do that are never going to happen in a real world environment when you're doing a wedding. But at the end of the day, I want to be ready in case it does happen.
Correct.
So, practice makes perfect when you're DJing. You're going to learn new tricks. When you learn how to do loops and you learn how to do good cue points and all of that stuff, man, again, you're just building upon. It's like a guitar player. I can teach
Yeah.
you how to play, do, re, mi, but once you start learning how to play Pink Floyd or any, of the music that we all grew up and loved, well, then now you're going to start getting excited about it. So it's the same with DJing. When you start learning how to do it and you learn the craft and you start that one thing at a time,
Yeah.
next thing now you know what all those buttons do and you know how to use them.
Yeah. Once you learn something, you would just want to keep learning and learning and learning, and
That's
do
right.
something else. Like, oh, I can do this now. I can do this now. I can do this now. So, and
Yeah.
with
And
that knowledge, it's more, like everything grows.
that's
Everything.
right. And when you have somebody that you can do that with, so like with me and Steve, when we get together and he sets up and I set up, and sometimes we just do it here at the house and we'll just go back and forth, man. And he's like, let's try this. All right. And next thing you know, you've got other ways that you can mix music in your pocket. So when you get out into the real world, but you have somebody that's pushing you or
Correct.
you're pushing them, right?
Yeah.
So, that's also, and it's fun. I don't know if you want to drink a cold drink and sit there and DJ for a couple hours with your buddy, man, what a time. And you're not trying to perform for anybody. You're just trying to be better at your craft. And,
Yeah.
Steve and I have done that a few times. I know Jason and I keep talking about getting together and doing it, but I know we're 3 hours away, which seems like an eternity, but we'll get together at some point and do that, and he'll get to be a part of that experience with us too. So
No, yeah, and I bet like even here when I practice, I'm looking like just doing songs, and like I always say, I always have my daughter tell me, "Hey, tell me a song," and then I just like figure out a way to fit it in, because that's what you get in weddings and quinces and all that. You gonna get like you get requests all the time, and then you need to be able to cater to those requests, obviously, and keeping in mind that it goes with the flow and so on. There's so many things that have to go on
that's
in
right.
order for you to make that fit. But once you have the song, you have to somewhat figure out a way to include it without being so abrupt and not messing up your flow.
Yeah,
Because
and so one of the things that helps me with that is the stems. With a lot of the Pioneer controllers, the stems are part of it, so it makes it a little easier.
yeah,
So when you're mixing with stems, you can go straight a cappella and then have the beat of another song, and it makes it a little bit more seamless. So you can do a little bit of that more crazy stuff.
hmm
Where if you're just trying to beat match, sometimes you got to beat match a song that's 90 when you're going into 128, and it throws it so far off it just sounds
yeah,
bad.
yeah.
Or
It's pretty much impossible to do that. Like with
yeah,
the if you're trying to be match, you
right.
can't.
So that's where you got to start learning how to scratch, or you got to start learning how to do the different things. Maybe you got to loop a song and then bring it down that tempo a little bit. So
Yeah,
there's so many things that you can do, but you just got to practice, man. Yeah,
exactly. Or
yeah,
even like do word plays, thumb play, like like to find different tools that you can incorporate to save you from doing those huge things. Last resort, get on the mic, like, hey, like, how you guys doing? Everything fine? All right, well, let's go ahead and do this song. It's a request. Boom, throw it in,
that's right.
something.
Yeah,
But
so like my turntables have effects cues on them that I can make, different effects cues to transition if I wanted to. Some of them are kind of, like the horn and all that stuff that you hear at some of these
the
big
regular stuff, yeah,
do. But so yeah, there's some functions there, especially for beginners that are great. I would say though, you just don't want to do the same one over and over and over again. If you're gonna beat match this song, then the next one let's do a baby scratch into it, and the next one maybe you beat match it again. But don't just stay in that one space. Just try to learn one at a time, and eventually you'll have, all those buttons figured out. That's the one thing, and you probably get told that too. When somebody comes around and sees your turntable, I'm like, oh my God, what is all those buttons, right?
yeah,
But you have the confidence to say, well, this one does this one does this one does this. But to somebody that doesn't know, it was like the first time you had your controller, and they're like,
yeah.
what does all this do?
That's another like kind of like a pet peeve or something that bothers me. It's when someone comes out to you like, oh yeah, I'm also a DJ, and they just stand right next to you, like right there, like on your face,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, what are you doing? Like,
So I'm going to tell you what I tell them, and I do it joking around, but this is what I say when they tell me that. And I say, well, apparently you wasn't good enough to do this wedding.
uh,
And then I say, no, I'm just kidding, man. I'm just kidding.
oh wow, I'm gonna use that one. I'm gonna use that
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
That's funny.
Just make sure you're laughing when you say it. Don't say it all serious.
I don't know. I don't know about the laughing part, but I'll say that though. That's funny. Yeah, yeah, that's one thing I don't like. One thing is you asking me, yo, can you show me? All right, that's fine. But if you come in here, tell me, oh, I'm a DJ, and then just stand there like, oh,
Right.
bro, okay, you're a
Yeah.
DJ. Go and enjoy. You're not here to DJ. You're here to enjoy the party. Go ahead and enjoy the party.
Do
You
you ever
know,
let anybody get on your turntables?
if they want to, yeah, I tell them. But I do ask, like, yo, do you wanna, every like almost at the end, do you want to jump in and do your thing? And they'll be like, no, 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 but you got it, you got it. And I'm like, okay, so why did you come and tell
Right.
me? And
Right. Right. So
so
I'll
and I
tell you.
understand. I understand, that you as a DJ, you know your music, you know how you work and all of that, and you might be intimidated by a different controller that you probably never touched and
Right.
things like that. But at the end of the day, it's still a controller. It
Right.
controls the music, and the music it might not be the intro and outro one, or might not have the same sound as yours, but it's the same song.
Right.
So like, but they're really quick to say, "Oh, I'm a DJ," kind of like to like set ground, or I don't know, intimidate you or something, or
Yeah.
make sure that you do the right thing, and then they stand on you. Or another thing that bothers me is when they come to the back and they're like, "What are you playing next?" and they put their face in your screen, they're like trying to read, and I'm like, "What the hell? Like, what is
So
going
I
on?"
don't know how big your facade or how your setup is. So when
I
you
don't
see,
use a facade
okay, so do you
anymore.
have a table? Do you have
I build my own. Yeah,
okay, perfect.
yeah.
So my facade is big enough that when people come up to it, I tell them like where to go so they can talk to me because I'm behind it.
Hmm.
So for them to come all the way around would just be so awkward for them that I don't usually have that problem. Now I do
Okay.
have the drunk people that come up and go play Waylon Jennings or some other crap that ain't going to go at the time. But I usually can direct them to where I want them to go when I'm talking to them. But I don't have the problem with people standing there. But I do let people. I don't care who it is because they ain't gonna hurt nothing except for maybe make the song sound silly. But everybody will look and see what's going on, and they'll see the bride back there, trying to mix. But I'll give them like a 2-second crash course, like just move this and scratch the wheel, and you'll make the scratchy sound. And they're like, "Arr!" But the funnest thing I like to do when it comes to that is when little kids come back there. I do love little kids coming back and watching what we do because you never know when you're going to inspire one of them to be a DJ or to go in that route. So
But you know what? With little kids, they come up to you and they start asking you, "Hey, like, how do you do that?" They don't come up to you like, "Oh, I'm a DJ.
right,
What are you
right, right.
doing?" Like,
There's with the kids, there's innocence, right? They're just wanting to know what's
exactly.
going on.
I actually did a graduation party. The sister of the graduate was actually trying to be a DJ, or was interested in being a DJ, and I had it on my gig. I got had her on the decks, and I made her transition a song
Nice.
live, and I was like, I'm gonna set it up for you. Like I match, and I obviously did a BPM matching, B matching,
Right, right, right.
because it was the easiest one. So I was like, all right, once I tell you go, you're just gonna press the start button, and you slowly gonna start fading to the left, to the right side, and then just this button right here, this the knob, turn it all the way to the left. That's all you have to do. And she was like, all right, I got you. I was like, oh, but hold up, you gotta put the headphones on. That means you're a DJ.
That's
And
right,
so she
right,
started
right.
laughing, and then she did it, and everyone's like, oh, she did it. She's a DJ. She's like, so things like that. It makes memorable moments
That's right.
and then you get those like until this day that client is always thanking me because like I inspire her daughter to do something that
Nice.
she wanted to do. So like those things are very very cool. Like
Right.
till this day I have her as a good friend now,
Nice.
and it's just nice. It's a nice feeling. Jason said that he hated when they come up and are like, this song will go with this and this. I had to tell them to go away. Oh man, that's funny.
And then he said he got to go to sleep.
Yeah, well, yeah, we went with. Well, we'll probably I'll have you on another show so we can keep talking because you have so much knowledge, so many things that we can grasp.
Yeah,
Um,
I would love to, man. I've had a great time tonight. I appreciate you again having me on. And again, if anybody needs help, man, you can check us out. We'll be more than happy to help anybody, with questions or anything. So just definitely glad to help.
I'll go ahead and put his YouTube channel on the link down on the comments or somewhere so you guys can go and check him out. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe to his channel. I'm telling you, that's a lot of knowledge that he has, and you can see he's a great guy. He's willing to share. He's willing to share knowledge. So
Yeah, appreciate it.
use it. But again, thank you, Jimmy, for your time. It was a great, and thank you all of you that commented. And we'll see you on the next live. All right, have a good one.
Yeah, peace out.